Something you have to realize, and it takes a while, but your life is nothing without God and without your health, right? You see, I had to think about that and learn the hard way, right? There would be times where I would rely on other things instead of God and my health to, fill the void or to help with my stress, my anxiety, right? Whether I was struggling with school, whether that was, with friends, with girls, relationships, my family problems, just personal, my mental health, my mental well-being, right? And you have to realize that your health, not only physically, but mentally, shapes up everything else that's part of our life. And also combining that with God and your faith is only going to make you a well-rounded person, but also is everything else will align in your life, right? It might take you a little bit longer to see some things happen, but that's okay. But I'm telling you, if you continue to put in the work each and every day and get 1% better, right, and learn from your old habits and create good habits, you know, everything else is going to align and your life is going to generally improve. Okay. You're going to feel better. You're going to look better. You're going to be smarter in the mind, right? Because you're reading the word of the Lord, right? You're reading the Bible. You're learning about life in general and how to dealing with anxiety instead of the poor things. So the things that I struggled with, right, was filling that void like I was talking about earlier, and I would smoke weed, right? I would, drink a lot of alcohol to fill that empty void, right? And when I was drinking a lot, it would not only affect me the next day, right? I would feel, like ass in the morning, right? And I wouldn't, with my nutrition, I wouldn't really eat a meal until like the afternoon. So that threw me off. And not only that, sometimes I would work out to sweat it out, and sometimes I would just skip it. So it threw me off, right? And when I was doing that, and I'm not saying you can't, drink from time to time and have a balance, right? I still drink sometimes, but I'm over, I'm 1 year clean of weed. So that's something that I don't do anymore, right? But people use it for medical reasons and stuff like that. But don't abuse it, right? So the things that I struggle with is that when I was stressed or anxious with myself, I would go to those things instead of God and asking for his help and support, right? And I was wondering why those things weren't helping me, right? Like, why was I doing those things? And then the next day I would feel even worse than I did that night of, right? Because that's a temporary fix. That is a temporary fix. I'm telling you, it's a short term, high, for example, right? But it's not going to make your life any better, right? If you just keep going down that bad path. And I had to learn that the hard way, right? It wasn't, it wasn't helping me with my relationships. It wasn't helping me with my mental health. It wasn't helping me with school, right? I wasn't doing better in school if I was partying all the time, right? I realized that, because I went through it, right? So, filling those voids and things like that, I'm telling you, it's not worth it. And I had to look myself in the mirror, and I woke up one day and I realized that life is so short. And without God and being in not only good shape and physical health, feeling good, having more energy, be able to do physical things, right? And be able to protect myself and other people, right? If I, in case self-defense, that's something I take pride in, is that getting closer to God and growing my faith over the last year and 2 years has really improved other parts of my life, right? And I still need to get better at reading the Bible every single day, right? And starting the day with it, I'll be honest with you. But when I do that, when I read the Bible the first thing in the morning, I tend to have a more clear mindset instead of scrolling on my phone and getting that quick dopamine, right? Because what God is, and with physical and mental health and being in good shape, is It's a long-term fix, right? And a thing when you're sinning, right? It's a short-term thing, and being happy, but you're away from God, right? You might be happy or enjoying in the moment, but you're really just thinking about, or pushing everything hard in your life off to the side, right? Like, think about it. That's why people that are miserable going to work every single day, commuting, that's why they drink and go crazy on the weekends, because they have that Sunday scaries and waking up on Monday morning, right? I don't want that for my life. That's why I started coaching and got into fitness and wanted to help other people, because I love what I do, right? That's why I'm a fitness coach. I love helping other people becoming the best version of themselves, right? And I don't want people to go through the same struggles that I did, right? So that's something I want you to think about, is making these things, your health and growing your faith with God, a priority in your life. Don't push it off. Don't say, oh, I'll do it down the line as I get older, right? I have other priorities right now with work and I just don't have time. If you can't make time for that, then your life, it's just, I'm sorry to say this, right? And honestly, sometimes the truth hurts, but your life doesn't matter as much as you think, right? Because how could you be the best version of yourself when you're, overweight and keep sinning, and also, far away from God, right? Because your younger self would not want that. I know for a fact, because my younger self didn't want that, right? I thought I would never smoke weed, right? I was always an athlete, but I did, right? I started, after senior year of soccer, and then I was 18 years old, right? And then I was doing it in college as well, and things like that. And I realized that was the weed benefiting me or hurting me more? And I realized that it was a temporary fix to sleep and to help my anxiety before bed. But other than that, it wasn't, because it was affecting my health. I had the munchies. I wasn't eating as clean, right? My diet wasn't as good. I was smoking, right? Putting that pen or blunt or whatever smoke into my lungs, right? I still play soccer, so that wasn't helping me in the long term. It was short-term fix. That's what I'm talking about. And when you're struggling and having tough times, just go to God. Ask Him for help. I had to realize that. I wish I did that sooner. And I woke up from that. When I was going through really tough times, I found God again. I found God again. And I realized that I wasn't thanking Him enough for what I currently had in life and the good things that were happening, right? So don't just go to God, right, when things aren't going. Go to God when things are going well, because what He's doing for you in your life is working, right? You have trust in Him, and His plan is starting to come to place, to come true, right? So trust His timing, and I'm telling you right now, your life will significantly improve. It might not happen as quick as you think. I'm going through that myself with my coach's business. I'm not where I want to be. Not only, with my business, but also like I could be probably in better shape physically, right? Like we all can be. There's always 1% better every single day. That's the end goal. So think about that when you wake up next, is that are you afraid of making that change, or are you proud of the person you are today? Or is it a commitment problem, right? There's something in your mind that's blocking you from making that commitment or change. So if you're ready to make that change and actually, go to God when you're struggling, go to the gym, eat cleaner, right? And block out the noise and change your environment, that's going to set yourself up for success. Your environment plays a big part, okay? But just going to God, praying, reading His word, going to church, taking it back, getting off the screens, right? The quick dopamine fix, because looking at your screens all day is obviously not good. And just, I'm telling you, it's going to improve other parts of your life, and you're going to have a clearer mindset throughout the rest of the day if you start doing that in the mornings each week. So if this was helpful, right, and if you're struggling with, you're questioning your faith, right, you're struggling with your faith, you're struggling with your health, right? You feel lost. Comment below. I would love to be able to talk to you, right? I want to offer my help and support because most likely I've been through the same thing. And I'm still struggling from time to time being consistent with everything. So if there's anything you want to talk about, comment below, right? Like and subscribe. I appreciate this and I hope this video was helpful.